my yarny friends, I'm Sara Sach and welcome to my crochet channel. Today's video I'm going to show you how to crochet this big O basket. It's a lot of fun and it's huge. This is our September crochet along for our year-long crochet along, which is a scrap happy crochet along. Now, if you would like to find the other patterns that we've done, you can find them on that playlist that says Scrap Happy Playlist on my YouTube channel. Now, today's video, of course, we're doing the Scrap Happy basket. It's a basket with one handle. It measures 14 inches across the bottom, and it's 14 inches tall, and it's huge. It's perfect for lots of things. I was going to use it in the laundry room, but my bag turned out so beautiful, I'm going to use it in here in the yarn room. I just love it. Now you can find all the information, pictures, notes on how to make this crochet pattern on my blog, and as always, I'll put that blog link down in the notes underneath this video. So grab your scraps and come crochet a big O basket with us. So to make our scrap happy big O basket, you're going to need some medium weight number 4 yarn. Now what I have done is I have rolled what I call these big crazy balls of yarn, because we're going to be using 4 strands of yarn held together. And so I've just taken a bunch of my acrylic yarns. Some are solids, some are variegated, some are sparkle, some are ombre, just whatever I had left. Medium weight number 4 acrylic yarn. Now you can use cotton, but you want to make sure that what you make your bag out of, you use all the same fiber, because remember, if you use wool, it's going to felt, and cotton and acrylic do not work well together in this sort of project. Now if you're doing the whole bag in a blend of cotton and acrylic, that's fine too, but just make sure you're using the same fiber for your entire bag. And you're going to need approximately 24 to 26 ounces, which is roughly 1,500 yards. Okay, 24 to 26 ounces, or about 1,500 yards. And that's because we're using 4 strands held together for the entire project. That's what makes it a good sturdy basket. And don't worry, don't let that intimidate you. I'll talk you through it, okay? We're going to be stitching today with our N hook. And this N hook is a 10mm crochet hook. It's a big, beefy, thick hook. And we need that for stitching those 4 strands together, with those 4 strands together. Now, you're going to need a stitch marker, because we're going to be stitching in the round, not joining our rows. And so I like to use these. This is basically a stitch holder in knitting. It looks like a great big safety pin, but I really like using them because of how thick this yarn is. But you can use a regular safety pin, you can use a paper clip, you can use a regular stitch marker as well, or just another piece of yarn that's maybe a different color so it stands out and you can mark your rows. We're going to be marking the last stitch of every row. And so I'm going to be using this big stitch holder that knitters use to hold their stitches. Okay? You're going to need a needle for weaving in ends, and then you're going to need a pair of scissors. Now go get in your yarn stash and put all the colors that you don't like and all the scratchy yarns together, and let's make a fabulous big O basket. Working with 4 strands of yarn can be just a little bit difficult. And I've got 4 strands here. I've got a cream, a rust, a gold, and a white here. And I wanted to use colors that would be easy for you to see to begin with, because if you get bright colors mixed in there, it can be a little bit hard to see. All right, so we're going to make that slip knot, and we're going to think of those 4 strands as just one loop as we work. All right, we're going to do our 5 chains. That was our slip knot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now we're going to kind of pull this out a little bit. We're going to try to keep those strands flat and together. We don't want one drooping or kinking up on us to make a bump or an issue in our bag, okay? So we're going to grab that tail of yarn and put it on our hook and pull that through. And we're just going to snug that down and make that stay knot. Now, if you prefer to do the magic circle or another method here, that's fine. Just remember, it might be a little more tricky using 4 strands of yarn, but you do your circle the way works best for you. All right. Now I do have my stitch marker right here handy. We're going to go in, pull up a loop, and chain 1. And that chain 1 does not count as a stitch. It's just to get that loop right up on top so we can stitch our stitches. And what we're going to do is we're going to stitch 10 single crochets in this loop. And I will tell you, it's going to be just a little bit tight. One, 2, 3, whoops, lost one of my loops, so I'm going to take that back out. There we go. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I'm going to push them down around a little bit to give me some more space. I am stitching over the tails of yarn. 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Now, before I do anything else, I'm going to take a look at it, make sure I did the right number of stitches. So we've stitched 10 single crochets. We're going to mark our last one with our stitch marker. And again, I'm using this as my stitch marker. And now we're going to go to the very first stitch we started, because we're not going to join. We're going to go right in this first stitch for row 2 and stitch 2 single crochets. 1 and 2. Now you may have a hole in the center there like I do. Don't worry about it. When we get done, we'll pull this tightly and close up that hole and then weave that in. I usually do that at the beginning, but I'm not going to on this particular project. All right, so we're going to stitch 2 single crochets in each of the single crochets around. So row 1 we had 10, and so for row 2 we're going to have 20 single crochets. And be very careful to pull that yarn, keep it together, and don't drop one of your pieces or lengths of yarn. It's okay if it twists a little, that's not going to hurt anything. It's okay if it's not, you know, laying exactly perfect. You know, mine's kind of wound up because it's on a ball that I'm pulling out of my basket. Just make sure that they're flat. You don't have a piece drooping or you don't have a piece bumping up on you. And so we're going to stitch 2 single crochets in each of those 10 single crochets around. And again, we're not joining, we're stitching in the round. I've stitched 2 single crochets in each of those stitches around. Here's my last stitch. I'm going to pull my stitch marker out. I'm going to stitch my last 2 stitches, so I have 20 single crochets for row 2. And then I'm going to put my stitch marker in that last stitch. Now a lot of people like to put it in the first stitch, and that's okay too if you're more comfortable doing that. I'm just not. It's just my style. If you're more comfortable putting it in the first stitch, that's totally fine. All right, let's do row or round 3. Yes, I am aware I have a fuzz ball right there. I don't care. This is just a demo. All right, so what we're going to do in the first single crochet is we're going to stitch 2 single crochets. 1, whoops, and 2. All right, let's get some more yarn out here. And now what we're going to do is stitch 1 single crochet in the next 3. So 1, 2, and 3. I'm going to pull this up so it doesn't bang on the table and annoy you like it is me. All right, and so what our repeat is for row 3 is 2 single crochets in the next stitch, 1 and 2, there, and then 1 single crochet in the next 3, 1, 2, 3. All right, 2 single crochets in the next single crochet, 1, 2, and then 1 single crochet in the next 3, 2 and 3, 2 single crochets in the next, 1 and 2, and then 1 single crochet in the next 3, 1, 2, and 3. All right, so 2 single crochets in the next, and I'm doing this whole row here to show you because it's going to have a little bit of a pentagon shape. All right, and then 1 single crochet in those last 3, 1, 2, pull my stitch marker out, and 3. And then I'll pop that stitch marker right back in to mark my row. All right, and so for row 3, it is going to begin to have a little bit of a pentagon shape, and that's kind of what I was going for because I think it makes a nice flat bottom for the bottom of our basket. All right, and so for round or row 3, you're going to have 25 single crochets. All right, let's do round or row 4. So we're going to stitch 2 single crochets in the first stitch, 1 and 2, and then now we're going to stitch 1 single crochet in the next 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4. All right, I'm just sticking that in there so it doesn't cling on the table. And so what we're going to do is our repeat is going to be 2 single crochets in the next and 1 single crochet in the next 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 2 single crochets in the next. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Get in there, you loops. There we go. All right, and so we'll repeat that around till we reach our stitch marker. 2 single crochets in the next and 1 in each of the next 4. I've completed round 4, 2 single crochets in the next and 1 in each of the next 4, and I moved my stitch marker to that last stitch. But what I wanted to talk to you about is joining yarn, and you'll notice that I have just made a knot with my yarn. When I'm using 3 to 4 or 5, however many strands, more than 2, I usually just go ahead and knot the yarn and leave pretty good sized tails. Okay, let me turn this over and show you. Right here I have a white one that I joined in, and I have a pretty good sized tail. And then what I'll do when I'm all done with the project is I'll come in with my needle and I'll weave those ends in individually. And that's what I'll do with this as well. I'll pull this hole closed and weave these in individually, just to give you an idea of how I do when I'm doing a large project that also has many strands of yarn. Okay, you can, if you want to, do the Russian join or another way of joining if you want to. I just really like to do it this way. And again, what I always say is you do what works best for you. All right, so let's do row 5. Row 5 is similar to row 4. The only difference is we're going to have 5 single crochets between our 2 in the same stitch. So we're going to start with 2 single crochets in the first single crochet, and then 1 single crochet in the next 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm going to push that in again so it doesn't hit the table and cling around. All right, 2 single crochets in the next, and 1 single crochet in the next 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we'll repeat that 2 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 all the way back around to our stitch marker. And remember, we're not joining, we're stitching in the round. I completed row 5. We have 2 single crochets together with 5 individual single crochets. And again, you're going to notice that it's going to get a little bit of a pentagon shape. And that's okay. That's what I want it to do. Again, that's going to give it a nice sturdy base. All right, I moved my stitch marker, and now we're going to do row 6. And so in the first single crochet, we're going to stitch 2 single crochets, 1 and 2. And then we're going to stitch 1 single crochet in the next 6 single crochets. So 1, 2, whoops, got some tangles in there, 3, 4, 5. Let me get that a little bit straighter there. There we go. Alrighty, so we have 2 here, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So for row 6, we're stitching 2 single crochets in the next stitch, and then 1 single crochet in the next 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. See how sturdy that is with those four strands? All right, so that's our repeat for row 6. 2 single crochets in the next, and then 1 in each of the next 6, and repeat back around to our stitch marker. So I have completed row 6. We have our 2 single crochets stitched in the same stitch, and then 6 individual, 1 in each of the next 6 single crochets, and then we repeated. And so what you're going to do is you're going to continue this pattern for 6 more rows. So row 7 will have 2 single crochets in the same stitch and 7 individual single crochets. Row 8 will have 2 and 8. Row 9 will have 2 and 9. Row 10 will have 2 and 10. Row 11 will have 2 and 11. And row 12 will have 2 single crochets in the same stitch with 12 single crochets in between. And so you'll continue to repeat that pattern for 6 more rows, and that'll bring you up to row 12 for the bottom of our Big O basket. I have now completed 12 rows, doing the increase on every row, and remember we increased on these sides an extra stitch every row. So on the 12th row you're going to have your 2 single crochets in the same stitch, and then 12 single crochets, and then repeat that, and you're going to notice that it has a pentagon shape. And again, this is how I wanted it to be, because I want this to have a nice firm bottom on our basket. I've made many baskets that are just round, and I feel like they're not as stiff. Well, one thing you're going to find using 4 strands of yarn is going to get you a very stiff basket, and the sides of the basket will stand up. And so the bottom of my basket measures approximately 14 inches. Isn't that amazing? It's a nice big bottom to our big O basket. And now what we're going to do is begin stitching the sides. All right, here's my stitch marker. And what we're going to do, because this is going to be the inside of our basket and this is going to be the outside. And yes, I have a few ends I need to weave in. And I'll do that when I'm done, because I'm sure as I stitch the sides, I'm going to have more to weave in. And what we're going to do for row 13 is we're just going to stitch 1 single crochet in each of those single crochets all the way around back to our stitch marker. We're not doing any more increases, just 1 single crochet in each of those stitches all the way around. We're starting to form the sides of our basket. I have completed row 13, which is just 1 single crochet in each of our single crochets all the way around to our stitch marker. And again, we're not joining any rows. It's all single crochet in the round. All right. And so for row 14, we're just going to repeat what we did on row 13. And again, stitch 1 single crochet in each of those single crochets around. Now you might have noticed on row 13, it's just a little bit wonky because it's not an exact circle. It's that pentagon shape. But as we work up the sides of our basket or bag, it is sort of a bag, it will start to even out and you'll really like the way that it looks. All right, so for row 14, we're again just stitching 1 single crochet in each of those single crochets all the way around. So now I've completed that second row, which is row 14, of 1 single crochet in each of my single crochets around. And you're going to notice that it's going to lay a lot better, and the bottom of that bag or basket is going to sit nice and flat. And so what you're going to do is continue to repeat row 13, which is 1 single crochet in each of our single crochets around, and you're going to repeat that for 15 more rows. If you want your bag to be even taller, you can add more rows. If you want it to be shorter, you can add less rows. It's totally up to you how tall you want your Big O bag to be, or your Big O basket. Now I'm going to be doing the additional 15 rows on my basket because that's the size that I want. All right, so repeat row 13 for an additional 15 rows. I have completed the additional 15 rows, which brings me up to row 30. You can see it's nice and tall. I have some weaving in to do. So now we're going to add a handle, and the way we're going to do that is we're going to chain 20 chains. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. There we go. 19 and 20. And I do have 2 strands of just 2 colors on here. It just worked out that way and I kind of like it. All right, so now we're going to skip the next 4 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4 and join to that 5th. 1, 2, 3, 4. Join to the 5th with a single crochet. Just like that. There's our handle. And now what we're going to do is we're going to single crochet around the bag all the way back around to this handle. And you're right, this bag only has one handle. If you would like to have a second handle, you can add a second handle on the opposite side of the bag. Now I'm just having one handle because I want to hang this up in my yarn room, or maybe my laundry room. I don't know, it's too pretty to put in the laundry room. But I'm going to hang it up so that I can store things in it, and it's going to look super pretty. It'd make a nice magazine bag or book bag hanging on the wall. It would make a nice yarn bag and lots of other things. All right, so I'm just going to single crochet in each stitch all the way around back over here to my stitch marker. So after we stitched the 20 chains for the handle, we stitched a single crochet in each of our single crochets around the top of our basket. And now we're back to the handle. All right, and so what we're going to do is we're going to stitch one single crochet in each of those chains. I chained my chains just a little bit snug, so I'm having to really push to get through them. We want a nice sturdy handle on our basket. Now we're going to go in that first single crochet. There's our sturdy handle. All right, now we're going to go in each single crochet and stitch a crochet, or a single crochet stitch. So we're going to go all the way around again, all the way around the top of our basket, and stitch a single crochet in each single crochet stitch. So I've stitched that row of single crochet all the way around after I single crocheted across my handle. All right, I'm going to go ahead and take my stitch marker out because we don't need that anymore. And the last thing we're going to do is do another row of single crochet across the handle. This way we have a good sturdy handle, but we're not going to go around the whole bag again. Unless you want to, you certainly can. And because I'm going to be hanging my basket up by this handle, I want it to be nice and secure. And sturdy, of course. And so I'm just stitching a single crochet in each of those single crochets of my handle. So I stitched a single crochet in each of those single crochets of my handle. I'm going to single crochet in this next single crochet. And now I'm going to slip stitch in the next 2 stitches. There we go. And now we'll tie off. And I do have 4 strands of yarn to deal with. So we're going to go behind this stitch, grab that loop with those 4 strands, and tie off to the back. All right, there's my nice big handle that's going to hold my basket up. And now I have a whole bunch of weaving in to do. And I know when you do a scrap project, you're going to have a bunch of weaving in. And that is one of the things that is not fun about a scrap project. But I love a scrap yarn project that I can use up a bunch of my yarns, colors you don't think will go together, and they do. Look how beautiful these look. I just love it. All the colors that I chose look gorgeous in my opinion. Now you can plan your colors. You don't have to do this in scrap yarn. You can do it whatever colors that you want to. All right, so that is our big O basket. Look at all that I have to weave in. This is our big O basket with one handle. Now if you want a second handle, you can always do the same thing we did over here on this other side. I just wanted one because I'm going to hang it up. All right? All righty. Have fun.